Manchester City's 115 charges. For many, rival fans feel like they have been dragging on for a long, long time. And I'm sure City fans feel very much the same. But the news out exclusively in the Daily Mail confirms that Manchester City and the Premier League agree a date for trial over the 115 charges that they are accused of. The rule breaking, the accusations of financial doping, and essentially cheating. The verdict time is also finally set. What may be disappointing to a lot of people, including Man City fans and rivals, is the trial date is not going to take place until the autumn, late autumn in that, of 2024. So just under 12 months' time. And the verdict is expected to come at the end of the 2024-2025 season. So about 18 months or so from this point, a verdict is expected. Now, what's your first reaction to that? And I'm sure City fans and rival fans will see this very differently indeed. Manchester City stand firm. Manchester City say they have unequivocal, undeniable, outright evidence that they are innocent. They will prove their innocence, and they will do it in court. The Premier League, however, see this very differently. The Premier League see this as, well, if you had the undeniable evidence, if you had the irrefutable, if your claims that you had irrefutable evidence were true, why have you delayed this 3 years or so prior to now? And why are you continually pushing back against getting this trial date done? Why are you delaying that situation? That is where the argument is taking place right now. And I'd love to get your views and opinions on this. By the way, make sure like buttons are being hit as well. More of the article here, and it says, those with knowledge of the situation believe that a conclusion may not follow until the end of next season, which is when City boss Pep Guardiola's current deal runs out. It is understood that what has been a highly confidential process is currently at a stage where statements are being taken from witnesses, which is likely to remain the case until next spring. So right now they are gathering witness statements. They are getting all their ducks in a row, the Premier League. So when they go to court, when they go to the tribunal, they are able to present all their evidence that City have broken these rules. Now, I want to go and listen to what Simon Jordan has got to say. We're going to go through a little bit more of this as well. Let's take a little listen here.
Before you factor in any reality of an appeal, which will almost inevitably follow.
Yeah.
If Manchester City were to fall foul of any verdict, and if that appeal was to not come to any fruition, they'd probably take it to the Court of Arbitration of Sport.
Well, what's interesting about that is in the original articles, and I've got to go and dig them back out, I did read that there is no recourse for an appeal or the Court of Arbitration. That is what Premier League rules currently state. That's really key, and we'll come back to that later. We'll come back to that a little bit later.
I imagine Manchester City must be very disappointed with this timetable.
Interesting.
Because they're absolutely not guilty of anything. They are absolutely unequivocally able to prove it. So I imagine they must be very disappointed that this is taking so long to come to fruition.
You mean by that, somewhat tongue-in-cheek, that because they are so keen to prove their innocence, they want to do it like yesterday as opposed to a year from now?
I would assume so, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
I mean, if you want to bring, if you're defending yourself against the most unfair and unjust and spurious of allegations, you really don't want to wait a long time to do it, do you?
Mm.
You really want to get it done as quickly as possible because you are unequivocal in your innocence, able to substantiate it to the highest level. I would imagine you want this done relatively quickly.
One other interesting aspect to this, Simon, is that Pep Guardiola's contract ends 2025.
Yeah.
He could have come and gone before City know their fate regards FFP.
Yeah, could do. Could do. I mean,
I don't think the Pep Guardiola thing is irrelevant to me. What Simon Jordan says there, again, I am not legally trained. I'm actually literally scratching my head thinking, I'm not legally trained. People that are legally trained, and there'll be many of you that watch this that have gone to law school, some of you that are lawyers, some of you that have an understanding of this much deeper than I. if you're as innocent as City say they are, why would you continually delay the process of getting to court? And I say that because this was shared on The Athletic today that shows a breakdown of all the delays over the last 4 years. Over the last 4 years. In August 2019, the league issued a disciplinary complaint against the club and asked City to release documents. The club refused. In October 2019, the league set up an arbitration tribunal to enforce the request. The club challenged the tribunal's jurisdiction and impartiality. In February 2020, the league changed its rules to ensure impartiality, and the tribunal restated the demand for the disclosure. In June 2020, the tribunal rejected a fresh challenge from the club, Manchester City, who then filed in the court in the arbitration claim at Companies Court. In July and November 2020, the tribunal again rejected their argument. In March 2021, Justice Mulder rejected the club's argument about the league tribunal, denied its permission to appeal, and informed City she intended to publish this decision. She did, however, give City permission to appeal, to apply for an appeal. In April 2021, Lord Justice Miles accepted the appeal, and it was heard on June the 30th by him, Sir John Flox, and the Chancellor of High Court, and Sir Geoffrey Voss. It goes, and on that time, it was rejected. So this has been delayed now for things that just disclosure of information has been delayed for 4 years. And the reason I ask this is because if you were as innocent as you say, why would you delay it? Now, I understand it's a legal tactic to essentially drag this through court, drag this on for a long time, make it cost a lot of money in hope of, one, maybe the Premier League says, all right, we'll just leave it. Or two, maybe there's a rule change that comes in. Maybe a rule change gets voted in over a 4 to 5 year period that puts a time bar in place. Maybe there's a rule change that comes in that then means that some of these potential breakings of the rules, maybe some of these elements that you've been accused of are no longer applicable. Maybe that's the point of this. I genuinely, I'm asking this question, not through sarcasm like Simon Jordan did, but why, if you have 100% evidence that you've done nothing wrong, why would this be delayed for such a long period of time? And by the time we get a verdict, and by the time the appeals are heard, if they get an appeal, because they may be given the right to an appeal in the judgment at this tribunal, we could be talking about 6, 7, 8 years from when they initially were investigated and asked for information from the Premier League. Why, if you are completely innocent? I'd love to understand that. I'd love to understand why you think Man City are doing that. From my point of view, I stand very resolute in what I'm saying here. I believe they've done some things that are against the rules and regulations. I do believe that. I've seen the emails. I personally believe those emails are true. Until I see an explanation that makes me understand why those emails mean something different, I believe they've done something wrong. However, they are innocent until they're proven guilty. They deserve their day in court. But the more they delay this, the more I think to myself, why? I also believe that the Premier League has got to bring in, I know they don't want to, but they need to bring in an independent regulator who can enforce these rules in real time, who can do spot checks and request data and request information and request contracts in real time to ensure that this doesn't go on in the game. I believe that football clubs should be able, their owners should be able to pump more money in than they're allowed to currently. So I believe there needs to be reform in FFP and sustainability rules. But at the same time, we need to ensure there are checks and balances for the biggest reason of protecting football clubs from going out of business and protecting the local communities that surround those football clubs that rely upon these football clubs. This goes beyond just the actual game. This is, in some regards, the heartbeat of communities. So all these things need to be in place. Reform is needed. Independent regulation is needed. But I know Man City fans will come at me and say I shouldn't talk about this. I'm being bitter. I'm being a Man United fan who just wants to see them get in trouble. It really isn't like that. I want any team who has cheated to be punished. Man United were up against these allegations. I'd be saying exactly the same thing. But at the same time, we need more regulation in the Premier League. There's no doubt about it. How do you all see this going? Genuinely, how do you all see this going? I'm intrigued to know your thoughts and know your feelings. Why do you believe Man City are delaying this so much? Is that a sign of guilt in your opinion? Or is it just a case of, we know we're innocent, but we're going to play cat and mouse with you. We're going to toy with you because we simply can. Let me know in the comment sections below. Make sure you're subscribing, and we'll see you all again soon. Take care. Goodbye. God bless.